Hey, what is up, everyone? I am here to give you my Breaking Bad review, as I do every Wednesday, and you can check out the others in the Breaking Bad review playlist. And this actually was the last episode of season 1, and I really did enjoy season 1. I liked how they portrayed it, how Walter got his cancer and he refused to get surgery. And then what happened with this episode, and I liked the no, getting to know Jesse. I liked everything about, mainly everything about this season. And this was the last episode, so this was season 1, episode 11. What the fuck was I saying? Season 1, episode 7. I don't know why the fuck I said 11, but it's 7. And then this one's called A No Rough Tough Type Deal. And it's March 9th. It came out on March 9th, 2008. And it kicks right off. They're at the high school, and they're talking about the stuff that was stolen out of the chemistry lab that Walter teaches in. And people are arguing, talking about how the janitor was arrested, and he was arrested not for stealing the stuff out of the chemistry lab, but for being caught with marijuana. And they were upset that they let him get hired for and didn't do like a background check on him, and that he was arrested in front of his daughter, one of their daughters. And the people say we're going to make sure we're more clear about that, but we don't know who stole the stuff yet. And Walter kind of zones out and starts touching Skylar's pussy, which I thought was pretty awesome, I guess. And they're not even paying attention. I wouldn't be paying attention either. I'd be going for that pussy. And then they finally talk to Walter, and they thank him for showing up because he's on medical leave, so he's not going to be working, considering the fact that he's showing the after effects of his treatment. He'll probably be back to work by the next season. I don't know when, nobody will. And they tell him to go through the list of stuff that was stolen, so he starts doing that, and then it cuts to the next scene, and it shows Skylar and Walter having sex in the car. And he's like, that was an amazing experience, how come you're so awesome now? And that's what Skylar said, and he's like, because this is illegal. And then it cuts to the theme song. Now, Skylar's supposedly pregnant, and I always thought this if I was going to have sex with a pregnant person, is I would be afraid, like, the baby would, like, bite my fucking dick, and just take a nibble and I wouldn't let go or something. It probably doesn't have a mouth yet, but I'd still be worried about that, or, like, my dick would be touching the baby, so technically if I came, let's just say my parents decided to have sex while I was inside them, that means technically I probably sucked on my dad's dick, considering the fact I didn't know what a dick was. I thought it was like probably a sausage or something. It's pretty fucked up, but yeah, it's pretty fucked up shit. I mean, I would say, actually, I was thinking I'd rather just fuck him up the asshole, but then you would still technically feel the baby because it's still there. Unless it comes up, unless it's closer to the vagina area. I don't really know how that works. But it's just pretty fucked. I know that's fucked up to say, but it's just the truth. And we see a real estate lady, and she's at Jesse's house in the basement. I guess Jesse has to sell his house for some odd reason. I think they talked about how they put something in the toilet, and now he can't even take a shit anymore. And he's still injured from the beating he took the last episode from Tuca. And then what else happens next? He goes in there and Walter asked why he had sold the house, and gave him said that he visited him in the hospital and told him what he did with Tuca, and he gave him like his half of the money. And he got more. It's probably because of his medical bills. And he talked about how they have to make 2 pounds by like this week or something because that's what he promised Tuca. And he said that they can't do that because it takes a while to get the supply that they need to make the meth. And Walter's like, well, how are we gonna get it then? What are we gonna do? And Jesse's pissed that he didn't tell him about this before he made the deal. So then later on, they go to the what's it called? A dumpster or something, or like and that's where they meet. And Jesse's like, normally we don't meet like in an empty place. We meet like at a mall or a taco shop or something where it's not just so we don't look like criminals. And Tuco and his crew shows up, and he asks for the meth, and Walter hands him the meth, but it wasn't 2 pounds. It was like 0.5 pounds. And he's like, this doesn't impress me. We agreed on 2 pounds, and he didn't give him the whole money. And then they make an agreement that Walter, pretty much, they go back and forth about how much number they're going to give them. And Walter agrees to give him 4 pounds. You can invest in it. And he eventually agrees. And he has to do it by like 2 weeks or something. Then they get to the baby shower. Well, no, then at first Jesse, they're back at his house, and then he didn't want to get the supplies. He says he was just going to leave town, and Walter encourages him to get it because he couldn't pronounce most of the stuff that he had to get, and he finally does it. And then they have a baby shower because earlier when they had gone to Walter's doctor, they talked about how he has a baby shower, and they talked about like how he could take more medication to make him feel more energized. He's still energized though. He's more sexual now, which is very true. And at the baby shower, Walter Jr. is filming this, and he films Marie, and he's like, hey, this is what I'm gonna look like. I'm gonna age pretty well. She's gonna look like the way she does now, and she gives him a name, the baby a name. I don't remember the name. Her name's gonna be Holly, but it was like Al McNado or something. It was like a name you wouldn't want to have. And then they show Walter Jr. He's like, okay, just point it back on me. And then they film Skylar, and then she's like, by then Marie probably will be in a mental institute. And Hank says that I will have married somebody else and be happy. He gives a name. I don't remember the name, and I thought that was hilarious. And then Walter gets filmed and says he's happy to be his dad, and no matter what, kind of like the typical stuff. No matter where we go, you always have a family to support you and stuff. And then Skylar opens up with gifts. And she opens one up, and then eventually she gets to Marie, and Walter Jr. was filming this, but then instead he kind of just filmed a girl's tits, which was funny as hell. And then when Skylar gets the gift, ended up being a tiara, and it was like a really expensive tiara. And she's like, I don't think you didn't need to get this. This was expensive. And Marie was like, oh, it's no trouble. And then Hank and Walter stepped outside to smoke cigars and stuff, and it was like illegal cigars. And at first, it was just to have a drink, but then they didn't want to have cigars because of Walter's cancer. But Walter's like, hey, I already got lung cancer. And they talked about how stuff was illegal, like if we had drank it back in the 1930s, it would be illegal, but then a year later, it would be legal. And they talked about all this stuff that was legal, and then they just went on about that and talked about how there is stuff that's legal now. And then Walter's in bed. He's looking something up. It was like a sweat salon or something. And it was another part of his treatment. And he asked Skylar if she wants to go there. He tells Scott, well, he pretty much asked, would you be okay if I went there just from Friday to Saturday? And she said she would be extremely okay with that. And she also told Walter that they don't need the tiara, so Skylar's going to go return the tiara. And Walter lied. He didn't go to the sweat salon. He is cooking meth with Jesse. And he bought a bunch of stuff which cost a ton of money. And the one thing that they need is Let me see if I can find it in here because I gotta remember it. Methlamian. Because they need to do that so they can make a lot of meth, I guess. And then they couldn't get it because he couldn't get it at the stores, and they were gonna hire guys to steal it from them, but he couldn't. But it was gonna it would have cost like 10. It was gonna cost 10 grand, and they didn't have the money. So Walter's like,
oh,
nothing.
When did you get home?
Like 12. And Walter's like, let's just steal it ourselves. And that's exactly what he does. And he makes this thing called oh crap! I'm not gonna be able to pronounce this. Oh wait, that's not it. Thermite, and it was a thing that the Germans used back in the World War II, and apparently if you had taken out their guns, they would have melted and be gone forever. And Skylar tries to return the tiara, but they ask for a receipt and they don't have one, and then she's like, this guy's gonna watch you while I call the police, and Skylar's like, what? And we find out that the tiara is stolen, and then the police says he's gonna press charges, and Skylar's like, this isn't fair, you can't prove that I've stolen it, and there's no evidence about it, and then they want it, I think they want Skylar to say who did it, but obviously she doesn't want to spill the beans and rat on her sister. And then eventually she fakes that she's going to be going into labor. And she calls Marie and she doesn't pick up. And then leaves a voicemail. And then later on she confronts Marie in a store. And she was actually trying on earrings, which she probably was going to steal. And when she confronts her about stealing the tiara, she completely denies it, acts like she has no clue what's going on. And, yeah, it's all probably true. And I have a feeling she's probably been caught before, but she probably thinks that she can't be arrested, obviously, since Hank works with the police. So, yeah, Hank doesn't even know about this crap, so... And then Walter and Jesse are at the place where they're going to steal the methlamian. And they see a security guard. And at first he left, but then he came back, which wasn't according to the plans, to take a shit in a porta potty. And then they tie a rope on the porta potty so the guy can't get out. And Walter uses the thermite to make the door explode and takes out the methlamian, and that's about it. And then they make the meth, but the problem was the real estate lady was coming there, and when Jesse tried to call her to see when she was going to come, I think she was already there, and they were having an open house at Jesse's house, and the problem was she left her phone in the car. Probably so she wouldn't get distracted by texting or something. Obviously not playing games because they were the flip phones back in 2008. And then when they find out about this, they freak out. So Walter tells them to make sure they don't go down there. And the way Jesse does that is and he just tells everyone to leave because this house isn't for sale. And then Walter gets home from the sweat salon, but you know really where he got home from, and Skylar tells him what happened with Marie, and she says, well, sometimes maybe he do it for their families, and he's like, wow, that sweat salon must have screwed you up pretty good. And Walter says that what if this was me, because he's referring to what he's doing now with stealing breaking the law with them, making meth right now. And she says, you don't want to find out what I do. And then the episode ends with they give Tuco the meth, and it was blue, but it was still the same stuff. And then one of there was a person, I think it might have been Skinny Pete, but he said, remember who you're working for. And Tuco's like, they're smart enough to know. And it just turns into this big argument. And Walter's like, hey, calm down, buddy. Then afterwards, he's like, you're right, I need to calm down. And then Tuco beats the shit out of him and busts him open and knocks him out. And then they drag him in the car. And Walter and Jesse just look at each other like, what the fuck just happened? It was actually pretty awesome. And that was the end of the episode. Wasn't the longest review ever, but it sums up everything that happened, and thought this was a good way to end off the last episode with a cliffhanger with what's going to happen with Marie, and I am actually wondering what's going to happen with her, and I can't wait to see season 2 next week, and that's pretty much it, guys. I'll be back next week to review other stuff. I might come back maybe this week and review something, but that's pretty much it, guys. Peace out.